My hypothesis is the next 3 years are going to be more disruptive than you could possibly imagine. The first question I have for you is, what excites you the most? What are you most excited about? Because things are going to be changing for the next 3 years. Take a moment just to write that down. The other question is the other side of that emotion. What scares the hell out of you for the next 3 years? What are you really concerned about that may happen in the next 3 years? The risks, the challenges, the pressures, the unknowns. The value that I hope to bring to you is something on that page will change because of the next few slides I share with you. Between 2020 and 2025, you will find increasing shortages for people in a knowledge and service work economy. Globally, we can't wait for this person to decide something, for this person to decide we don't have enough time. We need to start moving our organizational structures to look more like networks, where people can share things quickly without approvals. Business has been very, very slow to move in this direction. The future of workforce, the people who are in their late teens, early 20s to late 20s, they are looking at employment differently than everyone in this room. I'm only going to come to work for your company if you can help me achieve my goals and dreams. If you three work at 3 different companies, I'm going to select the company, not necessarily the one with the most benefits or that pays the most, but your company is more focused on where I want to go as a person. So I'm not going to go to those 2, even if they pay me more. Most of the leaders that I meet in my consulting assignments around the world for many wonderful, wonderful organizations are fantastic leaders, but they have difficulties addressing truths that don't fit the reality that they want. You can't just blow up every business, and yet you do need to be a disruptive hero. You do need to create change faster than you may be comfortable with. The most important thing you can do has nothing to do with anyone but you. It's disrupting you, the way you do things. Now, that is hard for all of us. The most important thing will be doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. Then you know you're disrupting in the right direction. My very first big consulting assignment, I was re-engineering processes. I was just dealing with boxes and designing flows on charts. Had nothing to do with the product. Pepsi-Cola would not let me work on that until I put on work boots and a uniform, and I delivered the soda to the grocery stores. They wanted to make sure that I understood what their product and their service was about. I now use this as a consultant. I've worked with one of the world's largest retailers, a company you would name, you would know, but I can't name. And I kept coming back researching that the problem was with the senior team, not with the stores. And of course, they didn't believe me. So I had them do that undercover boss. Everybody on the senior team had to go work in the stores for a day. And the CFO, the chief financial officer, was a cashier. He didn't last a full day. He only lasted a half day. And he came back and he said, I can't believe how hard it is to make money in our stores. The cash registers don't work. The prices are wrong. The credit card swiper doesn't work. The app doesn't work. I can't believe how hard it is. Go do someone else's job for a day. Someone below you. Drive the forklift. Make the product. Sell the product. Do a job that you normally don't do. So the first way to disrupt yourself is go do someone else's job. You will then begin to understand what you pass on to those other people. The best way that I have learned from real disruptive heroes in businesses how to create disruptions is assign yourself failure projects. Now, I don't mean they're going to intentionally fail. You remember earlier this morning I talked about the portfolio, and in finances you have some of your money is low risk and some is higher risk but higher return. Think of if you have 10 projects a year, make sure at least one of them is high risk, high return. Think of your portfolio of projects. And at least one project, you should be taking on at least one project every year that you, even if the company doesn't like that you fail, that you are willing to risk looking bad.
We have talked a little bit about your comfort zone and how it could be risky and how it could be useful. We are not 100% convinced that it could be very useful, especially if it is outside our department, probably. Because we could learn something more, but we are not sure that we are able to take those risks in our companies.
So that's a fair response. I'm not sure if there would be a reward. I'm not sure if I can do it with our company. What I would ask you in your situation is to take that page, that slide, and go back and have that conversation with some others and say, what risks could we do? Are we fearful of being Ubered or changing? So there is safety in numbers, even if you don't feel it would be helpful for you. Bring it back to your company and say, what should we change? Go ahead.
Probably it should be structured. You cannot just go yourself and take a risk inside your company.
So it should be structure. The challenge for most of us, unless we are the CEO, changing structure is difficult. So how can we start small? What can we work on that's small that changes the structure? Try a pilot or a small team being structured different. Instead of a team, department, division, company, start with just one team and ask, if we structured this team differently for this one project, could we see how that works? Your number one job, if you are going to be a disruptive hero, is to create forums like this inside your company. When do I switch from buongiorno to buonasera? What time? Yeah, some people say 5, some people say 2. Whenever anytime after lunch. Well, welcome back. The future is personal. And what that means is, as executives, as leaders, as spouses, as parents, you are all going to have to make deeply personal choices. So the biggest thing we learned out of the study is that the thing you need to be focusing on is how do you make choices around change that benefit you, that benefit others? So the study revealed that the people with the stronger future understand themselves, understand their values. It's very deeply personal. I want you to think with empathy, care about everyone around you, because everyone around you, 100% of the people who you work with, this will be their hardest work. Disrupting themselves, deciding how to make different choices for themselves. So as a leader, you need to understand that everybody, the questions we went through this morning, every single person who works will have to make the choice about how do I fit in life and work, and how do I get them to intermingle properly? It's going to be really, really hard for everyone. 2 to 3 times a week, people will be experiencing choices that could affect their career. It's not, do I quit or do I stay? It's like that on every single project. Some projects could hurt their career, but be good for the company. That's a transformational choice. All of us want people to stay at our companies for as long as possible, good people, but maybe that isn't, staying at your company is not good for their career. 2 to 3 times a week, we are going to be facing those kind of deeply personal choices. What makes you, you? And the reason we talk about this is Warren Bennis, a leadership guru, written many leadership books, talked about everybody faces a crucible moment in their lives, a moment that changes how they think. And great leaders call upon those moments as to how they think and how they change. The leaders who were strong, who could adapt to lots of change, could instantly tell me a story. The leaders who struggled to change didn't really have an answer for what makes them who they are. I need you to understand why I'm asking you this deeply personal question. Disruptions are going to be thrown at you that you don't understand, that are going to make you uncomfortable, that are going to ask you to take risks that you don't know how you're going to take those risks. The thing you're going to draw on is not a business plan, is not advice from somebody else, is not the way your company is run. What you're going to draw upon to be future strong is what's inside of you. That's going to be the foundation. You're going to say, this is a good choice, this is not a good choice. Let me make it very concrete to business. When we look at a spreadsheet of numbers, some numbers are bad, some numbers are good. Our personal filters will, whether we're an optimist or a pessimist, whether we see problems or we see opportunities, that will call out which number we pay attention to, which one we emphasize.
This is essential because if you don't know yourself, I mean, you don't understand the mechanisms that are moving you, what drives you, why you wake up in the morning. And if you don't know yourself, I mean, it's impossible. You are able to understand others and lead other people to their direction, understand what they motivate them, their needs, their expectation, and so on. So, I mean, what we said this morning, you said in a slide we saw that we work over the last decades a lot in efficiency cost and so on, and very few in people management. But the answer is very, easy. One thing is in engineering. You have a technique, you apply, you cost reduction, zero quality, whatever. It's just something that you can do in production. It's quite easy. But when it comes to people management, you have to deal with fears, doubts, expectation, motivation, etc. And I mean, it's a very, very sensible matter, and it's not about business. It's about individual and your life. So, and this is not a scientific feedback, but according to my experience, most of the people that I deal with, they do not have any idea about what drives them. And maybe they have my age, 48, 49, or even 55 or 60. They lived all their life without having an idea of what drives them. And the worst of this is that they do not realize about their filters, and this make them see a reality that doesn't exist.
Leaders who lead in disruptive times are able to trust who they are. The teammates you want on your team have a good, strong self of who they are, because they can use their values when everything else is chaotic. If you were to look at your teammates' ability to be willing to be vulnerable and to take personal risks, do you think that would have an impact on innovation at your company? If you look at your teammates and they have difficulty managing between hardships that are good for the company and hardships for themselves, are you having teammates that are burnt out and overloaded? And do you have such strong team spirit that they have each other's back that you can just have great agility and go everywhere? The two questions I have for you as you talk around your tables, which of these three would you say is a company strength, if any? And which of these do you think might be holding your company back? At the end of the day, literally the end of our day, I have one question for you. What do you want your legacy to be? Why are you on the planet? What is the difference you're going to make for all the people around you? Let me tie it full circle. Why am I talking about your legacy? Something personal, that's deeply personal to each of you. You're in a disruptive era. The rules are changing. The only way you can be future strong is figure what kind of legacy I want to leave, what kind of risks I'm willing to take, what kind of adventures I want to go on. In a disruptive era, following the way the rules have always been done will never leave the legacy you want to leave. My goal is every time I present, there's one person in the room who literally changed what their legacy was going to be because they attended that session. That is my ultimate goal. To hear from you 5, 10, 20 years from now and say, because I attended this session, I changed what my legacy would be. That's my biggest hope. Now, that's big. I may never achieve that with this group or the next one, but one group I will. That's my goal, is to create something that's bigger than I or Ambrosetti or anybody could do for you, that you can do for yourself. With that, I want to thank you for your time. I will turn it over to our host to close.